Welcome back to art. So today we have a really fun job to do. We are getting some papers ready that we're going to use in a picture next week. So today we're going to be messy, we're going to have fun, and we can't go wrong with what we're going to do today. The materials that we're going to need today are, number one, paper. So in your art packs, if you picked one up, there should be 3 sheets of A4 paper. That's what we need. You'll have the same in school. And if you didn't pick up an art pack, then if you can get hold of cartridge paper, that would be fantastic, because the heavier the paper, the better for what we're doing. However, if you can't get hold of cartridge paper, any paper will do. It might just go a bit wiggly, but that doesn't really matter. So we need 3 sheets of A4 paper. We need some oil pastels. Now, if you haven't got oil pastels, then you could use wax crayons, but it needs to be either wax-based or oil-based, ideally, to do part of the patterns that we're going to do today. And the reason for this is because the oil in our pastels or the wax in our crayons, like we said before, it resists the water that we're going to use over the top. It says you can't come here. So our patterns that we make with these things will show through some watery paint that we're also going to use. However, if you don't have access to these, then you can use pencils. They may get a bit covered up with paint afterwards, but then maybe you could add some of your patterns back in after your paint has dried. In fact, even if you use oil pastels, you might want to put some extra patterning in after our paint has dried. So let me just go backwards slightly. We need paper, we need oil pastels or wax crayons, and then we need some kind of water-based paints. If you picked up the packs, you'll have your watercolour inks in there, Koh-i-Noor, my favourite, these fantastically vibrant paints. These do stain your clothes though, and your hands for a little while, so it is worth us putting protection down on the table to make sure that we don't stain the table. If you're in school, we can just wash the tables, that's fine. But if you're at home, you might have something a bit more fancy than the school tables and you might want to protect it. Also, obviously, you need to protect the floor as well, because you don't want to drip this onto any carpet or anything like that. You might find it really hard to get out. So aprons, coverings, protection, we need to think about that today. Because having fun is a messy activity, in my opinion, and we're likely to make a mess. So as long as we can clear it up and tidy away the mess, it doesn't matter. But let's have fun today. So I'm not going to tell you what we're leading up to next week, but today our job is to make patterned papers. First using the oil or the wax, second using the watery paint. We can do whichever patterns we choose. Now, I think, just for variety, if we get our A4 paper and we fold it in half and cut it out so that we actually have 6 pieces of A5 paper, we can make our patterns and our colours different on each piece, so that next week we will have 6 different varieties of papers to use. I'll show you what we need to do. Now with my oil pastels, and I've tried to vary the type of pattern that I've done and the colours that I've used. So some of them are where I've just done a dot and made it go for a walk, all kinds of squiggles. Some of them look a bit like letters. They look a bit like M's, don't they? The letter or the sound M. This one looks a bit like a wiggly worm. This one is much more straight and geometric. So I've just tried to vary my patterns and vary my colours so that next week when we get to use these papers there will be some variation and it'll be interesting. I hope you can see that I've tried to make my lines really thick so that they show up really clearly because we're going to paint over them now with water-based paints, and then the thicker they are the more they will show through the paint. This is where it might get a little bit messy, so I'll show you what I mean.